first time I earned six figures in a month was back in August of 2018 with $167,000 a month. Absolutely life-changing. From that time, I would occasionally hit six figures, with December 2020 being the next big hit of $173,000. Then March of 2021 with $140K, and then it started to pick up a little bit more. In March 2022, almost $200,000. Then that September, another big month of $100,000. Then April of 2023, and most recently, March of 2024, our biggest month yet of $437,000. But that's a bit of an outlier, as you can clearly see here. It was not from my own efforts as a secondary market professional. That big payday was from an actual loan payoff. What we do on this channel, we teach you how to invest in notes. But today's episode is a little bit different because we are going to show you how to start earning over six figures per month by becoming a secondary market professional, not by being an investor. So this is how to start with $0 to begin making $100K per month, starting with nothing. So let's jump into it with a little bit of housekeeping to get us going here. And that begins with our agenda. It's April 2024. This is episode number 67. We're going to start with this month's recap. We're going to talk about next month's agenda, that topic at hand, earning $100K per month in the secondary mortgage market. And then finally, talking about the market, our membership programs, and our case study rewind of the month. All right, so of course, the Mortgage Note Investing Forum is the first thing I want to mention to you guys. FIXnotes.com/forum, a free discussion board for all things mortgage notes. Hop on over there and start communicating with the community. That's what it looks like when you are in the public forum. And then if you join as a member, you get access to a whole bunch more different threads and communication. So let's talk about this month's agenda. We've got our members only call number 40 just completed on April 3rd. So we do these the first Wednesday of every month. We had a great session talking about fix and flip non-performing loan resolutions into reperforming loan sales. We talked about the state of the industry with a secondary market update from our own Bill by Mel from First Lien Capital. And then we've got our open office hour now every single Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. These are group consulting sessions for all of our members. Next, we've got our client portfolio update just to tap you guys into what was going on in the past month. We did close that 209 loan trade at the end of last year, and now we have 32 pending loan mods from that portfolio, 33 completed mods, and 6 payoffs, with 1 being a discounted settlement and 5 of them being full payoffs. Right now, the total assets under management from the FIXnotes team, we've got 259 first and second position non-performing loans and 95 cash flowing notes at $38,000 a month. This is for my clients. This is not part of that $100,000 per month figure, but this is the activity that I generate to earn those revenue for our company. So total under management right now is $14 million of unpaid principal balance. All right, so next month, what's going on? Well, we've got our members only call number 41. That's April 3rd. And I believe I'm going to be presenting in this call with a resolution process, data mining trends, and takeaways. So we're digging into my client portfolios to show you some different trends, things to look out for to maximize your own success as a note investor. Now, our open office hour, again, every single Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Join our network or our mastermind group for access to the recordings and those live Zoom sessions. And then finally, our cherry pick NPL sale offering just wrapped up. Our April portfolio release was our biggest of the year with $3 million of unpaid principal balance listed to members of the group. That was 101 loans nationwide, non-performing first and second position. So that was awesome. If you join our group, you'll have access to those upcoming opportunities to bid and add to your own portfolio. All right, so let's get into the topic here. Earning six figures per month. Now, what's exciting about this is we're talking about earning this capital with no risk because you are a value providing, a service provider in the space. So I'm going to go through 6 tips, and then we're going to go through a 5-step action plan to make your own name in the industry to find out how you can do the same. So the first tip is to learn everything. Now, this is really what made me set apart in my industry when I first started, was just getting my fingers into all the areas of the business as much as I could so that I could learn these different skills and find what suited my skill set the best. So when you learn everything, that's really just a philosophy about being able to take on new projects, to take on new activities, and really find the sweet spot, because you really aren't going to discover your zone of genius if you're just getting started and you don't have that mentality, that growth mindset to try to learn everything and upskill. Next is digital literacy. And this is huge. In today's environment, in the 21st century, this is accelerating trends that we need to stay on top of. Everything from using automations, building systems and processes, to ChatGPT and leveraging AI. So I'd highly recommend you stay on top of current trends and the ability to leverage those trends, which is our next one after divergent thinking. Divergent thinking is huge. It's really the ability to think outside of the box, to connect things together in a way that is novel and provides value above and beyond what you might have expected. And I believe the next slide we got to come back to here. But leverage is what I alluded to earlier. Leverage is so critical. Now, there are 4 types of leverage, according to Naval Ravikant, that are capital, labor, code, and media. So capital, essentially in the position that I'm describing here, is not necessary because you're getting into the business as a value service provider. You're not investing your own capital. So we'll check that one off. Labor is actually hiring people to delegate to. So we're also not talking about labor in this case. But code and media, those last 2 forms of leverage, are highly advantageous as a value provider in the space. As an agency almost, you're essentially creating media for your clients to drive the growth of their organizations, to see more deal flow, to have reach into new investment angles so you can attract that capital to raise a fund, an investment, where once again, it's not your money, it's not your organization, you're facilitating the growth of an organization as an independent contractor or as an agency per se. And then finally, code. Even no-code tools like Zapier and the automations that you can develop online are absolutely forms of leverage, and you should do whatever you can to leverage the code that's built into some of these tools like ChatGPT, as well as code that you can develop proprietary solutions for yourself if you go that route and develop that expertise. All right, now we've got making yourself indispensable, and then we'll go back to that slide I skipped over. Now, making yourself indispensable, it's some kind of pithy advice sometimes, but I believe that it truly matters. Now, the difference is, and that was the article I skipped over here, was recently in the Wall Street Journal this month, the big work lie, becoming indispensable will save your job. So I believe that this article's point is in the larger organizations that you may be a part of. Yes, being indispensable really means nothing because these companies have so many resources, so many employees. There's nobody that's indispensable. And essentially, that language is just to lock their employees into over-delivering and burning themselves out. But in small organizations, and we'll talk about this in the 5 steps to begin your own career earning over $100,000 a month, in small organizations, this is critical because these companies don't have the resources and the ability to fill that spot instantly if you were to, say, negotiate for more than they're willing to pay you and they let you go. They're going to have a much more difficult time, and in that case, you have more leverage. So making yourself indispensable, I believe, is still a critical mindset, a critical philosophy when you're thinking in terms of the tasks that you're taking on, the competencies that you're building, and the upskilling that you can do to become more valuable to your team. So I do think that this is just a great philosophy to have. And then finally, patience and persistence. None of this happens overnight. As I showed you on the top of this call here, my first 6-figure month was in 2018. I started in this industry in 2011. So it wasn't for 7 years that I finally had my first 6-figure month. And by the way, I've still yet to hit 7 figures in a year. I'm not consistently doing $100,000 a month yet. So that is absolutely a milestone that I'm looking forward to achieving and then bringing to you guys on this channel so that you can see what it takes to go from those 6-figure months to 7-figure years. So get subscribed so you can see those episodes as I learn more and develop myself in this industry. All right, so let's jump into the 5 steps, the 5-year playbook. So as I mentioned, it took me 7 years, but I think that using the advice that I'm providing here, you can do it a little bit quicker. So it's 5 steps, which I think can kind of align with 5 years. And our first step is to find a small company in a growing niche. Now, our niche is the secondary mortgage market, very small niche for sure. But the point here is working with an entrepreneurial startup, small business where you can truly become indispensable, not a big organization where you're going to get lost in the shuffle. So highly recommend you find, if it's not in the mortgage note space, another growing industry where you're able to add value to a small team. Next, prove your competency and your motivation. So you need to first lean into the zone of genius that you know for yourself. You probably have an idea of some of the areas where you have the most competency. So start there and then expand as you grow and upskill and learn more about the industry and about the various value add opportunities there are within the team that you're working on. So definitely start by just proving your competency by doing great work and being motivated to take on more, because that's the only way you're going to be able to learn the other things to take you to the next level is by trying them out. Next is step 3, execute and over deliver. Now for me, this step took multiple years. It wasn't 1 year of executing and over delivering. It was multiple years to get to the point where I became indispensable and obviously was able to provide more value than I was charging. And we'll get to that in a minute here. Because step 4 is to wait and have patience while you continue to deliver value. Now, the point here is, once again, to make yourself indispensable, but not to over ask. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're making it easy for the principals of the business that you're working for to cut you, to let you go, because you're actually not providing the value that you think you are. So you do need to get to the point where you can do that. And of course, expect less than you generate is how you become an asset to the business. Otherwise, you're certainly a liability. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be worth anything if you're getting paid more than you're actually generating. Eventually, you're going to be cut in that sense. So this is the 5-year playbook to get to the point where you can start earning $100,000 per month as well. And of course, you can shortcut this process by investing in mortgage notes, by putting the capital that you earn back into self-improvement, back into developing your skills, and of course, back into assets that can generate you passive income, lump sum payoffs, and property acquisitions at discounts. And that's what we do with the secondary mortgage market. So that's the main part of this call, but we've got a lot more for you here, starting with assets for sale. So in this case, we're going to be showing you our aggregated trade desk. Now this is for Mortgage Note Mastermind members, but I do want to show it to you here because this is really what the core of the deal flow within our community. Now at the top here, you can see all of the various apps and tools and templates and databases that we offer to the Mortgage Note Mastermind members. And then the aggregated trade desk, which I haven't updated in a while, but we have a ton of product coming through here. And by the way, I haven't updated the screenshot. This gets updated automatically every single day. What's really cool is I just set up a Zapier flow so that every email that I get from a seller in the industry gets automatically populated on this list of deal flow. So you see these assets as soon as I see them when they come across my inbox as a Mortgage Note Mastermind member. But even as part of the Note Investor Network, we put out 1 million of unpaid principal balance of non-performing loans for sale every other month. So these portfolios are available to both our network members and our mastermind members. Generally, we reserve the higher balance loans for the mastermind and the smaller balance loans for the network members. The mastermind members have access to all of it, and the network members are encouraged to bid on the smaller balance loans to learn the business from the inside out. And speaking of the Note Investor Network, so I want to share with you our latest community and our most affordable, best way to get into this business. And that is through the Note Investor Network. So as part of this community, you get asset purchase opportunities, as I mentioned. You get our foundation video courses, which is a series of 3 different trainings on acquisitions, due diligence, and resolutions, which encompass about 20 different modules that are video recordings, screen shares, everything that you need to get into this business. We've also got our expert session recordings. So all of our mastermind member calls, we're editing and adding to our community, so you can check them out as a member of the network. But of course, in the mastermind, you get access to those as live events. Finally, we have our weekly Zoom calls, which are our open office hour sessions, which you can hop onto every single Monday to ask questions and just chat with the team, work with the other members of the group. And then our private forum, where you can talk 24/7 through a text discussion board about what's going on in your business and how we can help. And then of course, consulting rates are discounted for members. And at a limited time right now, it's $97 a month. So if you're watching this video in April of 2024, then that price stands, and it probably will for at least the end of this month and maybe some of May. So definitely hop on this opportunity for this 50% off lifetime access at the $97 per month. All right, so let's jump into the next section here, which is our case studies, which is so important because this is really where you get to see exactly how this business works from the ground up. And when we buy a note here, we can see the specs of the note, the stats here. Non-performing second position loan secured by a single family residential property, SFR, that was resolved through a discounted payoff for $28,496. So let's dig in here and see exactly what we are dealing with. So first thing first, we're going to talk about the fair market value of the property. That was a $440,000 single family residential property with a senior lien balance of $493,000. So we're in a negative equity position on this deal of negative $53,000. That means our second lien is underwater. The borrower owes a first mortgage that is worth more than the property. And the balance of our second lien is $56,000. So overall, the borrower is almost $110,000 negative equity on the combined loan to value here. So we bought this loan for $10,800. So in this case, 19 cents on the dollar is a discount that we can accept on this because of the negative equity situation. In a positive equity deal, we might be looking at 50, 60 cents on the dollar, but much better pricing when equity is in an unfavorable position like this. So we always ask 3 questions when we start a conversation with a homeowner that we're trying to help out of default. What happened? Where are you now? And what do you want to do? And the answers to those three questions are really what guide our resolution to create a sustainable plan for the borrower that's going to make sense and help them get back on track. So what happened here? Well, the borrower was actually in the middle of a short sale, and the loan was transferred to us as that short sale was ongoing. So it sort of threw a wrench in the borrower's plan to get this deal done, because all of a sudden now the servicing has changed hands, the lender has transferred, and it could have jeopardized this ongoing process to sell the property at a discount. So as a last ditch effort here to avoid a bankruptcy was to sell the property with the liens released. So the borrower in this case had a buyer willing to close the deal, but he needed all of the lien holders to approve of the short sale in order to proceed. So he provided all those documents proactively: a hardship letter explaining the situation, why he was in default, a senior payoff quote so we could see that $493,000 unpaid balance, the HUD settlement statement, which is essentially the breakdown of all of the different charges that were going to be incurring at the closing of the property, so we can see how much the realtors are getting paid, how much prorated taxes and insurance were, how much the other lien holders were getting out of the deal, and of course, how much we were allocated in this deal. And then finally, he had pay stubs, tax returns, and even a signed offer from the buyer of the property. So in this case, what you want to do is pretty straightforward. He wanted to sell the property for $440,000, satisfy the first lien and the second lien, and he had 3 judgment liens on the property as well. So right off the bat here, you can see that the numbers really don't make sense. And that's what a short sale is for. It's for discounting all of these liens so that everybody can get paid and walk away without having a deficiency judgment held against them. Essentially, in this case, if the borrower did not get the lien holders to waive their right to pursue a deficiency judgment, he could still owe money after the fact because he's almost $110,000 underwater. So this actually took 10 months, which was a bit longer than expected, especially because it was already in process when the loan was sold. But sometimes short sales can be delayed, especially when there's big banks and the bureaucracy of getting short sales approved in the mix. It can take a while. So there's actually $415 of expenses here that covered our due diligence, our research on the property before we bought it, our onboarding with our loan servicer, and then a little bit of collection expense to get us to a payoff of $28,496. So in this case, the senior lien was able to discount pretty significantly to give us a little bit of that profit as well. And it really wasn't profit if we had originated this loan at $56,000, but because we bought it for $10,800, that $28,000 payoff was absolutely acceptable to us. So some takeaways here. First off, patience is rewarded in a seller's market. So our $6,000 short sale acceptance was rejected by the senior lien back in 2020. But after expiration, we were holding out for 50% of the UPB. And actually, the sale went up to $500,000 in 2021, paid off all the lien holders. So you can see that was some of what made these numbers work. Is originally the sale agreement that we got when we bought the property, or when we bought the note, was $440,000. But it turned out that by waiting as the market improved, we were able to get a much better exit with the property selling for more than $440,000 at $500K. The senior lien did take a discount. The judgment liens took a discount as well, and we were able to take a 50% of the UPB payoff. Now, another little takeaway, it's a fun one here, but savor the well wishes. I love to tag emails that have kind words in them as testimonials. So in this case, the borrower sent us some great messages, which I'll show you in just a minute. But in this case as well, 196% internal rate of return. So since it took less than a year and we doubled our money, it was almost a 200% IRR. So excellent return on this deal because we had patience and we were able to get a great price on a loan that otherwise looks like a lot of uncertainty at play with these negative equity situation. All right, so let's take a look at that fun little testimonial from the borrower. He said a couple things to me. At any rate, I wanted to thank you for being so helpful, most of all for being so responsive when just about everybody else was not responsive in any way. This closes this chapter in my life and I'm looking forward to moving on. That's something that you'll hear a lot as a note investor, that the banks never really took the time of day. There's always a different call center employee. Nobody knew what was going on, but when you have a single point of contact with an entrepreneurial note investor who wants to help, we can get those deals done much better than the banks. And finally, I wanted to share this one. Rob, I especially want to thank you for being so responsive. He said it again. Throughout this ordeal, selling the house, you are a rare bird. I like that one because, as you know on this channel, we love the birds. Although we haven't showed the bird feeder in quite a while here, you know that's part of the brand here. We've got the koi pond and the bird feeder. And being called a rare bird, love to hear it. All right, so let's wrap up the call here with a little bit more from the FIXnotes.com/website. If you go over to FIXnotes.com/levels, you can see our free membership benefits, the No Investor Network, and then the top tier benefits of the Mortgage Note Mastermind. So definitely check that out if you're interested in learning more about this industry. And then of course, the Note Investor Network, you can get all of this and more for $97 a month for a limited time. So definitely check that out over at FIXnotes.com/network. All right, I think that wraps us up here. So tune in next month for industry overviews, the tech tips, the vendor reviews, the assets for sale, case studies, giveaways, and so much more on the Be the Bank show, the last Wednesday of every single month. And check out FIXnotes.com in the meantime for our free course and free community forum. Hope to see you next time, everybody. Have an awesome day. You know where to find me in the comment sections below. Let me know what your questions are and I'll cover them on our next episode. Have a great day, everybody.